Okay, this video you're about to see is about the hows and whys I make videos. I forgot to tack this part in, so I thought I'd just put it at the front. I tend to have a different format from many people. I notice that a lot of people view the videos where people show themselves doing their gardening, doing their stuff, making their stuff. A lot of my stuff I talk about some of the things you'll realise and notice and need and do in off-grid life. I don't really show myself doing that much actual stuff, and that's sort of the format that I usually show on my channel, and I realise that other people get a lot more hits by showing, you know, what they get up to, like video logging their day-by-day stuff. But you know, now that I'm sort of reasonably set up, it's sort of, there's not much to show. But when you see the phrase updates, that usually is about what I'm getting up to of late, and I may show some of the things I'm working on. So every time you see updates, that may include me showing my current projects and talking about what's going on in my day-to-day life and with some of these little projects that I'm up to. But here's the rest of the video as to why and how I make videos and how they turn out like they do. Now, I got a few questions about my videos and why didn't you film this and how about you do it like this and whatnot. I'll start with one that was a comment made on Kirsten's channel that they'd turned the reply off to. And we've got to encourage everybody to film in HD and then things look better, blah, blah, blah. That was it. And I thought, well, that's pretty flaming arrogant considering, you know, what I've got for an internet connection, which is here, upload speed. I've had it as low as not wanting to work at all. Sometimes it gets to, you know, 150 kilobits a second on a bad day, but generally speaking, you get it sort of varies on the night, but when it's got a good run, it'll sort of go from 320 to maybe 420 kilobits a second. But usually the upper 300s, 380 to 400, that's a, you know, 384 to 410 or something like that, 402, that's a good night. And, you know, that's often what it ends up being. But, you know, this is the sort of speeds we got. When Troy was in Coffs Harbour, he was getting 368 kilobits a second, which is generally what I'm getting out of basically, you know, a USB 3G modem, you know, basically through cell towers or mobile phone towers. You know, this is the sort of speeds I've got. And when people start sort of saying about, you know, oh, you should do it in HD, I'll be there flipping all day, you know, trying to do it. Furthermore, the cost of internet, the good one I use on my tablet, that one Troy gave me, they're pretty reliable and decent enough speed, although I have a few reservations about that company in regards to a few other things. But $180 for 12 gigabytes. Yeah, that's just $180 will buy you a 12 gigabyte block. The other one I'm looking at $150 to get a 12 gigabyte block, but they sort of tend to be a little bit unreliable on occasion and whatnot, and there, you know, there's times where they're just not going that grand. But the other mob, who, you know, with that little thing I got off Troy, the Wi-Fi router, they seem to be pretty good, but a little bit dearer. But yeah, basically, it ain't cheap. You know, when Troy said he pays by the megabyte, that's right, we do. We pay by the megabyte. You know, all this stuff of open plans and all that, that's the case in the city with hardwired in stuff. But even a lot of them have got a thing where you get to a certain point and they cut you back, or you get to a certain point and then they start charging you astronomically more per each megabyte and stuff like that. You know, might go up threefold the price, or usually they just cut the speed right back on you. But, you know, it's not as glorious here with telecommunications and internet as it is over in the States and whatnot. Now, the kinds of things I show sort of interest me, and I know I'm finding out that some of these things are usual in America. They're normal, everyday things, whereas they're rare in Australia. But there's some things that are rare in Australia, like the massive amount of propane-powered cars we've got here, that are rare in America, you know, and they're seen as an oddity. I take, like, rainwater, for instance. Rainwater harvesting here, I see Americans setting it up and all that and showing it like it's something special. Over here, it's just boring. Everybody's got it. Everyone's got it. When the government starts handing out water tanks for free, like I said in one of Troy's videos up in Coffs Harbour, you know, it just becomes sort of standard. Now, you might say, well, what about guttering on the houses? Well, there's very few snow areas, which means we have overhead water tanks, which means that all these buildings basically have gutters on them. And it's actually law to have gutters on your house. That's just required. That's the way it is. I don't know if they've got some idea about protecting the foundations from getting waterlogged or what, but that's just law. That all houses have got to have guttering, and some old sheds don't, but the newer sheds do. And basically, with most suburban properties, and I've done this as a day job, they have a 90mm pipe, which is basically 3" 5/8, or 3 5/8 of an inch, that runs out to the road. And all the stormwater that comes off goes into the gutters, down into the downpipes, which is basically your pipe that goes between the gutter and the ground. And then under the ground, you've got the more 90mm pipes to take it out to the road. You know, and then it just ends up running down at the end of the street where they've got another pit, and it all pours into there and off it goes. And it usually gets put into the sea. And yeah, what they've basically done is they've pulled off the downpipes and modified them to fill up water tanks, and then now it's sort of standard procedure to have all this. It's normal in a house now to have the laundry and the toilet running off of water tanks for all new houses. It's just standard now. And they've got these tanks that have got like a pressure pump in them and like a switchover set up, so that if the tank runs out, then just switch back to mains water. It's sort of funny in a way that in the States and that they sort of want you to be on the grid and want you to be connected. You know, and there's people down in that valley, that Attic, whatever the heck it is, valley, down in California, they're trying to force them to get the power on. Over here, when the water problem occurred, they hit it with both barrels. They built a desalination unit, and then they also decided we've got a whole heap of water just going down into the drain. It used to be illegal in some areas of the city to get rainwater, in most areas of the city, quite a lot of them actually, to get rainwater because of muck on your roof from industry, theoretically. We'll totally disregard the bird shit, as all Australians do disregard the fact that the water just goes straight in, we drink it, there's bird shit in it, and everybody just ignores it. And we don't see it as a problem. But, you know, some of the areas of the capital, I used to remember it was illegal to catch rainwater, and then it become part of the solution to the problem was to make you independent of the grid, plus upgrade the grid itself with a desalination unit. But anyway, I'm sort of rambling off on that. But, you know, to us, it's just like, so what? You know, I see rainwater systems all the time. I've done them as a day job. They're just, to me, they're no big deal. So I don't really show that. But then there's other things that I do show a lot of that intrigue me, such as heated clothing. Now, I have heard in the States you have socks that take batteries, and you got battery-powered socks that heat themselves up. Surprising. Very surprising. We don't have that here. You know, heated jackets and stuff like that cordless one I got there, the Milwaukee, that stuff is almost unheard of here. I find out now there's one made by Bosch as well. But, you know, it's as rare as hen's teeth. Even ceramic heaters that they have to clear your windscreen that you put on your dashboard of your truck that you got set up as a snowplow, they're $10 in America, and you can get them wherever. Over here, there is one place I know of that stocks one brand of them, and they're $35 each. You know, these things that sort of maybe common in the States aren't common in Australia. Things that are common in Australia aren't common in the States. And I sort of, you know, this is why you may see some things which you think are boring, because there's Aussie viewers who think they're interesting. And some things that you guys may see as interesting, I just never even bother showing, because to me it's just every day, you know. And now in regard to, I get this one a bit. Somebody even said to Troy, "While you're at Link's place, get him a torch, will you?" And it's about me appearing in videos rather dark. This phone I'm on now, I'm not joking, is about 6 or 7 years old. It's 176 by 144, I think, and that's your pixelation. And I sort of think you don't need to see me in very high clarity and whatnot, you know, if I'm just talking. And there's sometimes, oh, you know, Link doesn't like to be seen, so then he's just talking in the dark. No, I've usually got the LED lights on and I can see fine. But you guys mightn't be able to see me. I know you can't. All you can see is just a couple of movements in the dark, and that's about it. But this is what happens when you use older phones, you know. But I use this low definition so that my bill isn't too astronomical for the internet, so that I can get it uploaded in a reasonable amount of time. And I've got the other one here, which I think this one at 320 by 240, I think it is. You know, and that's the other one I use on occasion. The file sizes aren't terribly small with this either. They're quite big at times. And then I've got my other main camera, you see, which that's 640 by 480. It's actually HD, that one, but I don't know if it's 1080p, but I know it's supposed to be HD. And I have it switched to 640 by 480 and get it in as an MPEG-4 file and then convert it to a lower quality, once again, just to, you know, save me a bit of internet data and whatnot. But the reason some of these videos are dark is because these phones aren't new. They're just, the cameras in them ain't very great at all. You know, and it's not me trying to hide them. What sort of crap is that anyway? Why would I try and hide from you? And I got another bloody 800 odd videos, you know, most of which you see my face in, but this video, I don't want to be seen. What? I don't give a stuff, you know. Which brings me on to cameras and people who give a stuff about being seen by them. Now, I've had this one a number of times, and I think it should explain itself in a way, but it never seems to. And this is, why didn't you talk to the bloke and video you talking to him and whatnot. I don't know how it is in the States, but here people are scared of cameras. I mean, they don't like to be proud and parade in front of a camera. They're shitting themselves. And I thought this was pretty standard everywhere. You know, I can tell you one of the easiest ways to make someone freak out, and I reckon this would work anywhere, in America as well as Australia, but I know it works in Australia quite easily, is if you were to get a video camera and jam it in somebody's face. If you get one, not a phone, not a blooming little photo camera or anything like that, I mean a video camera that looks like a video camera, and you jam it in someone's face, it doesn't matter how macho or up themselves they are, you watch, they'll be shitting themselves. As soon as you jam a video camera in its face and there's a little green LED or red LED lit up on that camera, they'll be shitting themselves. You know, and that's just the way it is. So I go and try and talk to this bloke a bit, hey, sometimes I don't even bother because I know what'll happen. No hope at all. They will not talk to me. There was a bloke at that steam rally and there was a strange machine there. You'll see this one, it's basically like a giant saw and it's like a big hand saw and it just sort of and sort of moves like that. And they're cutting through this log that's like, holy hell, it's like blooming, you know, man, it was a big log. But anyway, you'll see it. And there's another machine there which was sort of strange. And this bloke saw me with this blooming phone going around videoing that saw, and then all of a sudden he sort of got all dithery and started, you know, sort of disappearing in the background. You know, and the area was all sort of fenced in for these displays, so nobody done something stupid like put their hand in the saw or whatever. Someone's kid's done something dumb. And basically, there's a funny looking machine there, and I ended up calling out to him, and he just ignored me. And I wanted to ask what the machine was, but he didn't even need a video camera. He saw that phone, he knew there was a camera in that phone, and he was shitting himself. And, you know, this is, I sort of would have assumed this would be self-explanatory, because there'd be plenty of my viewers that if you jammed a camera halfway up their butt, they'd be scared, so I'd assume. But I keep getting asked, you know, why didn't you talk to the bloke, this, that and the other? It's because of fear of cameras that people have, and it's as simple as that, you know. And there's other times where I would like to, but somebody else is talking to them and they're there for bloody half an hour, and I've got to go and look at some of the other stuff to be able to film that, otherwise I'm not going to get to film the other stuff, you know. And at the end of the day, it all set in. I got most of the stuff I needed filmed, and then the rain set in, and so if I wanted to film anything, it was too late. But you know, that's why I don't get to talk to all these people, and there's some that you may occasionally see I do, but I don't point the camera at them. I just hold the camera sort of down further or whatever, you know, and if they start talking, I just hold the camera, like as though everybody else holds their mobile phone as they're just walking around with it in their hand, you know. And of course you'll end up hearing my voice noisier than you'll hear their voice, but you know, on occasion they think you're just taking a photo, and then you've just kept talking to them holding the camera in the same spot, and they don't realise you're videoing. And if they did, even those people that don't mind you taking photos would freak out. But you know, this is a thing I try. You'll notice it, and Troy tries and does it too. You try and avoid showing people's faces and stuff like that. You know, because that's sort of one of the things they can get a bit touchy about. So long as you don't show anybody's faces, it's sort of pretty hard for them to complain about it and you know, then therefore do anything about it. But also commercial places and businesses, like when I went to the Big Strawberry that time, coming back from Coffs Harbour, you know, you got to ask with commercial businesses. You just do, because you're liable that, you know, if they find it and they don't like it, you know, they can flip and sue you. You know, they can force you to have it taken down and even sue you for defamation and stuff like that. But I think with businesses, you really can't just video that without permission. And you know, sometimes you get lucky, and because their boss was in such a fluster at the time, and just says yeah, yeah, yeah to everything. That's about the only reason that I got to film, you know, the Big Strawberry that time, and the massive solar equipment they have on that, and they could have just about done away with having a roof. I mean, you know, whacking another 20 panels, and they could have done away with having a roof in general, and just put a bit of silicon sealant between all the solar panels, and it would have been fine, you know. But that was a system and a half. 21 point. Or was it 28? Something massive, 20-something kilowatts anyway. But yeah, you know, that's a bit of stuff on why I do the videos the way I do. And I thought I should clear up a bit of that stuff.